get down to business to defeat the Huns. You're the saddest bunch I ever met, but you can bet before we're through, Mister, I'll make a man out of you.
The future has finally arrived. Yes, it is different than we all thought. But don't worry, it just means your future hasn't been written yet. No one's has. Your future is whatever you make it. So make it a good one.
Okay, I've watched The Force Awakens trailer 3 times. I've watched Rebels. Early Access is out. Damn it, Valkorion. Come on.
But Bill, we have to get back to the podcast!
Oh, right. Podcast. Welcome, Vikings, Space Vikings, and babies, to the 128th episode of an Unearthly Podcast. Streaming live on the 21st of October, 2015. And featuring The Girl Who Died by Jamie Mathieson and Stephen Moffat. I am Bill Sylvia, the Man in Black, and with me are Mad Matt Winchell.
Excelsior!
Randy Ronson McCulloch.
Always a pleasure.
And Aaron Romeo Moon Burke.
Look out for the creeper!
Not my face!
Tim is not with us this evening due to his theater work.
He's enchanting.
Yes.
He has a job.
He has a cooler job than any of us.
True.
Although, in the case of Matt and myself, a job qualifies as a cooler job.
Technically.
Even
I still make
working
$15 a month.
You get paid. You get paid. You get paid in money that isn't, single or double digits.
You don't have to live with your parents.
That's true.
I get paid with money and I still have a parent live with me.
On the other hand, Matt...
besides our depressing lives.
That got depressing real fast.
Let's move on to Doctor Who.
The darkness.
Yes, let's not talk about things that makes me want to go play in traffic. Let's talk about things that make me want to live. Ironic statement with today's episode.
With today's episode's title.
Yes. Anyway. Starting the news, we have a birthday. How do you say her name? Anneke Wills?
Anneke, I believe.
Anneke Wills, who
Yeah.
played Polly Wright during the first Doctor era, and I believe the beginning of the second Doctor.
The one are 2 serials of the first Doctor and the remainder of most of the first of the second Doctor season. And of
Teamed
course,
up
big
with
finish up
Ben, I
nowadays.
believe it was Ben and
Yeah.
Polly. Anyway,
Yeah.
she turned 74 yesterday, October 20th. Is she still actually doing anything?
She's still doing Big Finish because we have a release from her later on in the news.
Nice.
Don't know about on screen.
So,
Coolies.
she's still doing voice acting at least.
Yeah, it looks like that's all she's doing at this point. She's probably mostly retired at this point.
From normal acting, maybe.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, you never fully retire from Doctor Who. Unless you're dead.
Unless you're Christopher Eccleston.
One of us.
Then again, it's too early
One
to say
of
that.
us.
He could always pull a Tom Baker. We give him another 25 years, and he might be doing Big Finish.
This is true.
Google
All
gobble,
right.
Google gobble. One of us. One of us.
Anyway, happy birthday,
Happy
Anarchy.
birthday.
Or actually born Anna Katerina Willis, so happy birthday, Anna.
All right. In our Lost Stories segment, actor Neville Jason of the Androids of Terra died this week at the age of 81. In addition to appearing in Doctor Who, Mr. Jason appeared in many UK dramas such as Emergency Ward 10, Migrate, and Barlow, and recorded many audiobooks including War and Peace and a 120 CD volume of Proust's Remembrance of Things Past. So, rest in peace, Mr. Jason.
He made it past the 80 mark.
Mm-hmm.
So that's good run. Say what he died of?
It does. I couldn't find the exact day he died or the cause.
You know, it's that period where you're wondering, was it cancer?
Yeah, exactly. That was late 70s. So.
Yep.
What did he play? He played Prince Reynard in Androids of Terra. Okay. And he does not have his own wiki page. A shame.
Nope. All right, moving on to our ratings news. 4.85 million viewers watched The Girl Who Died in the overnight figures. It made it the second highest rated show of the day, behind Strictly Come Dancing, which had a whopping 9.66 million, and Casualty with 4.61 million as the third. Nothing else really special in that. Rugby continued, but since there are no more countries from the UK involved,
There are
New
countries
Zealand
from the UK still involved.
Are they? Oh,
Wales
they didn't play.
is
I guess
still
they
in
didn't
it.
play that week then. Okay. Well, it's hard to tell what Doctor Who news means by none of the home countries. I assume they meant the UK, but it's hard to tell.
Well, unless Wales was eliminated last week, I know they made it to the final tier.
Oh, okay.
But
Past our UK figures, we have the Australian overnights, which, by the way, I'm a little surprised we haven't been consistently getting America and Canada figures. I might start looking them up on another source. But in the 5 major capital cities in Australia, there was a total of 501,000 viewers, making it the second highest rating ABC drama of the day and the 13th highest rating program overall. As usual, these ratings do not include regional or time-shifted viewers. Under the Lake, we do have the numbers with time-shifted viewers, with 182,000 time-shifted viewers, bringing it to a total of 612,000 in the 5 capital cities. That makes it the highest time-shifted program of the day, and the 8th highest-rated program of the day overall.
Still breaking that top 10.
And, yeah. And our last bit on Girl Who Died ratings, we have the Audience Appreciation Index, which is actually the lowest of the season at 82. Possibly owing to how highly hyped this was. I'm a little surprised that it's considered the worst of the season. Then again, it's been a relatively strong season compared to other season beginnings. So.
And by the way, I was incorrect. Wales was eliminated from the Rugby World Cup in the first quarterfinal round. Ireland was beaten by Argentina, and Scotland was beaten by Australia. So none of the homes are actually still in the match.
So never you mind.
Yep. All right, so let's talk about previous episodes. Let's talk about Before the Flood. They now have a consolidated rating for Before the Flood, and that has 6.05 million. This is, of course, according to Barb. It was the 8th watched most program on BBC and the 2nd overall on Saturday. Full data is not yet available for ITV Plus 1, but Doctor Who is expected to be around 21st for the week. And, of course, top of that week was the Great British Bake Off with 15.05 million, beating Doctor Who by over double.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the biggest audience for any program this year. Wow.
Jeez,
You're
15 million people watching the Great British Bake Off.
they're making cakes.
baking the cakes.
I gotta wonder, is that like British Iron Chef?
As far as I can tell, it's literally just families competing in a bake-off.
Huh.
But there has to be something more than that to account for the ratings they get.
Maybe
Yeah.
it's just exceedingly British.
Best amateur baker.
Yep.
Huh.
Ready to move on?
Yeah, I see absolutely nothing that would make this worth 15 million people watching it. But then again, I don't get reality television. It annoys me.
Randy,
thing we
you
have
speak
cable
for most
then.
of the audience.
Yeah. It's a good thing we have cable then.
Yeah. I mean, you know, I watch semi-reality television. I watch Gold Rush because I find the original reality television stuff that's, you know, not actually a contest, just slice of life from somebody, that I can find interesting enough to watch. But
I know game
This-
shows are considered to be reality TV, but I think most of us watch them more for trying to solve the puzzles or questions ourselves rather than...
yes,
And prove that the people on the show are stupid, yes.
there's a difference between reality game shows like Survivor and freaking, you know, Jeopardy
Right.
and Wheel of Fortune. I will watch the crap out of Jeopardy and Wheel of Fortune.
Like,
'cause I'll be
apparently
sitting there
shows like
going,
Wheel of Fortune are considered to be reality shows, reality TV, but
They're game
it's
shows.
a different thing.
Yeah.
Get a grip on yourselves, people.
but these people like, you know, Survivor and the Great Race and stuff, it's just like, no.
You should watch the Great British Bake Off. See what it's all about.
I would, except I don't think it's picked up by BBC America.
Or YouTube.
Eh.
Or Daily Motion.
I mean, I guess Iron Chef is considered that same way of reality TV. I loved the fuck out of Iron Chef because of that whole tension feel that went with it, but still.
Anyway, we're beating a dead horse.
We're like roaming. Let's go back to the woman
Okay.
who lived publicity photos.
I've been using your conversation to try and look at these publicity images, but the site is acting up on me and keeps not letting me view them.
I'm desperately trying not to fall asleep. I'm just so tired.
Well,
I'm so tired.
Yay, images.
Ooh. It's Aslan. They have Aslan finally.
So, Aaron, you wanted to go ahead and move on?
no, we're
Yes.
on the publicity photos.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're already on publicity photos.
I haven't heard her say anything about them, though.
It's your turn, Aaron.
There's
Dialogue.
Aslans in all of them. You should go see them.
God damn it.
Alright, so, oh yeah, apparently there is text about the publicity photos. Okay, a roundup of publicity for the next episode in the current series of Doctor Who, The Woman Who Lived. England, here's a synopsis. England, 1651, the deadly highwayman, the Nightmare, and his sidekick stalk the dark streets of London. But when they find loot that's not of this world, they come face to face with the Doctor. Who is the Nightmare in league with? And can the Doctor avoid the Hangman's noose and protect Earth from a devilish betrayal?
Huh. Yeah, there's not a lot to these photos other than, yes, this is the one that the Lion Man is definitely in.
Doctor has his guitar again.
There's a lot of pictures in the woods at night. We see a character from this week's episode as what looks to be a highwayman.
Apparently,
I get a very Zorro feel, and yet this is set over 100 years before Zorro, so...
This is kind of the Musketeer era.
Well, they describe the characters below. We have profile images of a Shielder, which is, of course, Maisie Williams' character. There's the character of Sam Swift, which I take it is actually the human down there, Rufus, played by Rufus Hound. And then there's the third character of Leandro, played by Aryan Bakar. Bakar? And I take it that Leandro, being Leonid sounding, is the lion alien.
Maybe not. He might be Sam Swift. We don't know. I would suspect you're right.
That's the most ridiculous name for a lion person that I've ever heard. Sam Swift. He can at least be a cheetah.
You know, I feel like if David Tennant met a cat person, his name would be Sam Swift.
David Tennant met plenty of cat people.
Okay, fair point. But you know what I mean.
There we go. I'm having some problems.
I'm just
with the
saying.
lower
Usually when they credit those, they credit them in order. And the Lion's second in the order, and Sam Swift is second in the credits. So I still think you're right with your initial thing, Aaron. I just, we are making assumptions on stuff we are not sure of.
Yeah.
I just can't get that one image to load. But anyway, I've shown most of them.
Apparently the Doctor has his guitar again at some point. Not that I mind that.
I have a feeling in the Christmas special, River Song is going to break the guitar.
Possibly. Either that, or that's going to be the next step. That's going to be the next step in sonic technology, the sonic electric guitar.
And at least it does make sound.
That, or at least River will El Kabong him. Oh, Kabong!
The thing is, I don't think this Doctor would take that as well as Smith's Doctor.
Mm-hmm.
No, he probably wouldn't.
Because River would do that, and Capaldi would look at her and go, "That's it, time for a smack bottom."
First Doctorisms.
I didn't know this was Torchwood.
Oh,
well, that's true. River's response would be kinky, but still. And then Jack would have to pop his head in and go, "Oh my."
All right, are we ready to move on to the Zygon invasion synopsis?
I suppose.
Yeah, my only other comment is that apparently we see Maisie Williams with a horse that's much larger than she is, which makes me wonder how she rides it. She should have a pony.
Same way that she did in Game of Thrones.
Alright. The Zygon invasion synopsis. The Zygons, a race of shape-shifting aliens, have been living in... Wait to have a weird... Wait, is that... That might be a speck of dust on my screen. I thought it was a comma.
Nope.
Like, that's a weird place to put a comma. Have been living in secret among us on Earth, unknown and unseen, until now, when Osgood is kidnapped by a rogue gang of Zygons. The Doctor, Clara, and Unit must scatter across the world in a bid to set her free. But will they reach her in time, and can they stop an uprising before it's too late?
Okay, that raises an interesting question.
Whether or not it's... Which Osgood it is.
Well, yeah, does this happen before the end of the last season? Where Osgood was killed by Missy? If so, which Osgood is it? It doesn't answer that question.
I'm also kind of wondering if maybe ever since Day of the Doctor they've had two Osgoods working at Unit, since in theory they have the same personality. So they would both want the same job?
It's possible. It's just that it doesn't actually ask the question on how is Osgood back, and that would have been, kind of a key point. They're kind of treating it like it's just, it's Osgood.
Yeah, she got better.
They'll kill her in this one, and she'll come back in another one. It's revealed Osgood as Unit's Kenny.
God damn it.
Yeah,
oh my God! You killed Osgood!
We see her disintegrated in the Zygon inversion, and then the Series 10 premiere features Osgood. No explanation.
She becomes the next companion. She dies in every serial.
Jeez.
I still can't get that Zygon detector to work right. Ping! You say that about rabbits.
Because other than that, it doesn't really tell us too much about the episode that we didn't already know.
Right.
But that common treatment of Osgood just makes my eyebrows twitch. Mm-hmm. All right, moving on, Bill.
Yep. Later this week, we'll see the release of Lethbridge Stewart, Beast of Fang Rock through Candy Jar Books. This is the third book in that series of novels, and those who pre-order the book before release will receive an additional free short story PDF, The Cult of the Grinning Man. So apparently this DLC is going to be a pretty common pre-order bonus with these books. Not sure when books started including pre-ordered DLC, but that's the era we live in. I'm sure that Lethbridge Stewart would be very confused by it.
Everything has to have DLC now.
This is, by the way, written by Andy Frankham Allen, based on a story by Terrence Dix. So it's one thing that Terrence Dix actually didn't write. Did his hand cramp up?
Did his hand cramp? Did he go on vacation? What happened here? Terrence, why didn't you finish?
Unless the story it's based on actually went on accident.
Oh, maybe it's based on
it might be saying
the
based
horror.
on. They might be saying based on, as in because it involves elements of horror of Fang Rock, which was written by Terrence Dix.
Yeah,
that might
be
based
it.
On.
That's more likely.
Horror of Fang Rock, of course, having been the season 15 episode featuring the Fourth Doctor and Leela.
Yes.
All right, we ready to move on now?
At least books don't have microtransactions yet.
I think we're ready to move on.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they're working on it, by the way, Bill.
Arr.
For the next chapter, please pay us. Anyway,
I think that's how books works.
So a Doctor Who spin-off is coming to DVD, but not an official one. Downtime is a British sci-fi movie set in the Doctor Who universe, starring Brigadier Lethbridge Stewart, Sarah Jane Smith, Victoria Waterfield, and Professor Edward Travers. I was trying to figure out who released this originally.
It was Real-Time Pictures.
It was Real-Time Pictures? Okay.
Yeah. Apparently it was novelized, I think by Terrence Dix, actually.
Christopher, it was by Christopher Berry. It is an unofficial sequel to the serials The Abominable Snowman and The Web of Fear.
So Yeti.
Oh, I'm sorry. It looks like Mark Platt is the one that novelized it.
Platt, that doesn't surprise me. Platt did a lot of novelizations in the 90s. Yeah. The official synopsis reads, we follow the Brigadier and Sarah Jane Smith of UNIT who investigate New World University, a sinister school run by old enemies Victoria Waterfield and Professor Travers. The technology-obsessed university holds a gateway to Earth made by classic foe, the Great Intelligence. Fighting alone this time, without their famous time-traveling scientific advisor, the Brigadier and Sarah Jane are hard-pressed to decide who is friend or foe as they search for a missing locus, which binds the intelligence's power. The battle is broadened when the Brigadier's old family is threatened and unit faces a powerful new breed of Yeti. So, yeah, it's pretty much the third part of a Yeti trilogy, only this one without the Doctor.
Yeah.
And we can presume that this story inspired much of Series 7.
Yeah.
Just by the introduction of Kate Stewart, the appearance of Unit, and of course the Great Intelligence.
Oh, this was the work that first introduced Kate Stewart?
Yes.
Okay. So yeah, this has had a lot of bearing. It's still technically unofficial, but considering the people who are behind Real-Time Pictures, a lot of, at least a few of them, such as Nick Briggs, went on to become regulars in both Big Finish and Doctor Who.
Nick Briggs was Real-Time too? I knew he worked for BBV.
Oh, yes. Yes, Nick Briggs worked for just about everybody who did Doctor Who anything.
Nick Briggs had his hand in all the pies, apparently.
Yes, he did.
Mm-hmm.
Why do you think he was the go-to guy for Daleks?
Well, that was because of his work with Big Finish, I think.
Partially. I'm sure they know a lot of his unofficial work, too.
Yeah. But I mean,
So,
he had already done
this.
a lot of Daleks through Big Finish by the time he started doing Daleks for Russell.
So look for this sometime in November. It is at this point unknown whether it is going to be a UK-only release or if it's going to be Region 1, Region A compatible.
Who knows? It might be a Region 0.
It might be. Considering the questionable content in this, questionable, I mean, meaning who owns it, not whether it's, suitable for young eyes.
Speaking of which...
Yeah.
Speaking of which?
Yes. There is apparently dispute over it.
Mm-hmm.
And not from the BBC, mind.
Oh.
It has been contested by the executive of the Heisman Literary Estate, Heisman's granddaughter, Hannah Heisman. I actually missed this article, so... It is brought to my attention that Real-Time's Pictures and One Media are releasing Downtime, the Doctor Who spin-off film made in 1995 on DVD. This is being done so without my consent or permission. As executor of the Heisman Literary Estate, and thus copyright holder of Lethbridge Stewart, Professor Travers, The Great Intelligence, and the Yeti, I should have been approached over this. So the estate of the person that wrote those serials back in the 60s is suing Real-Time Pictures because they weren't notified of it. Real-Time Pictures has disputed this. Real-Time Pictures has been approached by Hannah Hatt regarding the agreement we signed with her grandfather Mervyn in 1995. As we explained to her, the agreement is still in force and covers any exploitation we might choose to undertake. Certainly no other party involved in the project has raised an issue with their agreements, and we have assured them no renegotiation is necessary, yada, yada, yada. This is, of course, not the first time a dispute has written over characters and objects created for Doctor Who. Anthony Coburn, of course, we reported, claimed ownership of the TARDIS in 2013 and was pretty much laughed out of court.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know how far they're planning on taking this, but I think by this point it's too late. This is probably going to be released next month.
Whether they like it or not, and it might still go through anyway. Whether they like it or not.
Again, though, I don't see whether this is a national or international release. We will have to wait and see.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the point is that they apparently had rights already secured from previous people.
Basically, what Real-Time is saying that the rights they got in 1995 to publish it cover this as well.
Yep. Pretty much.
So whether or not that's accurate, I guess we'll find out in the months to come.
Yep.
I'm pretty sure they wouldn't be trying to push this if they didn't think otherwise, but
I'm
we'll
thinking,
see.
if Real-Time is pushed to the point where they think they're going to lose, they'll negotiate out of court for certain, for certain royalty kickbacks or something to go to them. But again, we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, I would point out probably the only reason they're doing this is that there's probably been a huge demand for it since Series 7, and they've finally, gotten the okay from the BBC. They're like, okay, yeah, you can publish that. We won't say anything about it. And they're probably answering that demand at this point. It still might not be profitable for them to the point where they're willing to pay money on lawyers for the sake of keeping it going through, but we'll see.
Yeah.
Depends on the demand. Anyway.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Let's move on.
Next article.
Well, Cultbox has a contest out there for people to win sets of new Doctor Who books. 2 brilliant new Doctor Who books are available to buy this autumn from BBC Books to celebrate the release of Impossible Worlds, which is due out October 29th, and The Time Lord Letters, which is out now. They've got copies of both books to give away to 2 of their Twitter followers.
Those who have been following the podcast might remember that we did cover these books. For those who don't remember, Impossible Worlds is basically a behind-the-scenes looks at the sets and effects, and the Time Lord Letters is a bit of unofficial letters to and from the Doctor.
Yeah, I would like to own the latter one.
Because apparently it actually isn't an in-universe thing, whether or not they're official.
Right.
Well, if you want to win them, you just have to follow @CultboxTV on Twitter and retweet a specified tweet from them. So you can
Too
find
bad I
that
don't use Twitter.
website. I use it occasionally, but I don't really follow it very closely.
Yeah, I usually just check up daily to see if there's anything that's posted at me.
Yeah, I tend to mainly check the emails that Twitter sends me every day about what's popular in my network.
I just avoid it like the plague.
Have I mentioned that Dr. Oz follows me on Twitter?
Sounds
it's weird.
I think
Anywho,
most of my Twitter updates are from Matt, including me in Toku posts.
Most of my Facebook updates are from Matt telling me that he's posted in the Reviewiverse.
yeah.
that's because usually I do my vlog review or something like that.
I was following a lot of people from thatguywiththeglasses.com, but I don't really watch those videos anymore.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I've
same
only
here.
watched like a couple of them. I mostly just watch one Linkara, one Nostalgia Pick a week.
I watch them once in a great while. Like I watched his review of Fury Road.
Take you the red carpet covered in sugar. Covered in glaze.
Did we mention the end date of that contest?
No.
No, I don't think so.
the-
You've mentioned.
The winner will be announced at midnight on Friday the 13th. This is a UK site, so we can assume that would be,
Like-
British time.
Early, like midday, Thursday to the 12th.
Yeah,
More
it'd be
like afternoon.
It would be
More
about 5 a.m. East. No, wait.
No,
More like
I'm
if it's
backwards,
midnight
sorry.
Friday the 13th,
5
then
hours
it'll be
before
like...
midnight. So it'd be about 7 p.m. on the 12th Eastern time,
Yeah,
and so on throughout
yeah,
the
the
United
evening,
States.
not
The
afternoon.
sooner you do it, the better.
Yeah.
Don't wait till the last minute, and then realize that you're posting Friday the 13th of November 2015 while living in the U.S.
Friday the 13th. Wait. They still haven't announced when that new movie is coming out, have they?
Not that I'm aware of. Still waiting for that game, though. Game looked good.
Anyway,
although it's just a
before I
teaser
get
so
depressed
far.
over a Friday the 13th coming with still no new Friday the 13th movie.
Yeah,
we have
keep,
some
they keep
new
saying it's
releases
going to come out
from
next year,
Infinite.
and then keep pushing it back again.
Yep.
And
Now,
that's a very...
earlier we mentioned Anna K. Wills and what she's still doing. One of our Big Finish new releases is her and her remaining surviving member of the TARDIS crew, Fraser Hines, in the early Doctor Adventures, The Forsaken, featuring the second Doctor, Ben, Polly, and Jamie, with the new actor that plays with the new actor that plays Ben, which is Elliot Chapman. This is This is the second release in the series, and there will be a new one next month. Woo! This one, the blurb is, the TARDIS lands on an island off Singapore during the Japanese invasion of 1942. The travelers are found by some British soldiers, among them a certain Private James Jackson, who just happens to be Ben's father. But they're not the only visitors to the island.
Dun.
In other releases, we have Torchwood Fall to Earth, which is the long-awaited story featuring Yanto Jones. The blurb is, the Sky Puncher is the first private space flight, but Ephraim Salt's visionary project has gone horribly wrong. The ship is falling out of the sky and there seems no way to stop it. Yanto Jones thought the flight would be sabotaged. The only problem is, he's on board.
Dun, dun, dun.
Interestingly, neither the blurb nor the trailer, which we played a few months ago when the trailer came out, really does anything to say what connection this has to the previous entry, The Conspiracy, even though later blurbs have indicated that they are all connected through an ongoing plot. So it would be very interesting to those who are able to hear it to see how this all fits into the ongoing Torchwood Big Finish plot. And our final Big Finish release is Jago and Lightfoot Series 10, which features 4 stories: The Case of the Missing Gasogene by Simon Bernard and Paul Morris, The Year of the Bat by Jonathan Morris, The Morning, as in mourning a person, After by James Goss, and The Museum of Curiosities by Justin Richards. Jago and Lightfoot being the duo from The Talons of Wang Chiang and apparently one of Big Finish's more popular spin-offs.
I would say they're just releasing Series 10. They've announced Series 11.
Yeah.
And the Doctor and New Who is only up to Series 9, so...
And Jago and Lightfoot also featured in the Sixth Doctor Last Adventure.
Yeah, they seem to be doing a lot, but then again, those actors might be just, constantly available, too.
Right.
Quite possibly, yes.
And that's about it for Big Finish news this week. There's really no announcements or anything. As always, there are sales going on every weekend as new episodes of Doctor Who are released, so fans with some extra money in their pocket will want to keep an eye on BigFinish.com on Saturdays.
Okay, we have a rumor, albeit an extremely well-documented rumor at this point, that the actress that played Tish Jones during Season 3 of Doctor Who, whose name is Gugu Mbatha Raw, and I may have totally mangled that, and if so, I apologize. She is believed to have joined the cast of Star Wars Episode 8. While we do have multiple primary sources at this point, most of them reference the fact that this has not been officially announced through Lucasfilm or Disney, and still actually may be a persistent rumor.
Mm-hmm.
Until we actually hear it from the mouse's mouth. I would have to say, at this point, take it with a grain of salt, albeit this one is a little stronger than most of our ones that just have a single source or all lead back to the same source.
None of the sources is the Mirror this time.
Yay.
At least that, yeah.
That's usually good. That's usually a good sign. So,
Okay. Well, Eve Miles of Torchwood and Tommy Lawrence Knight of the Sarah Jane Adventures are to appear in the ITV 8-part drama about future founder of the Torchwood Institute, Queen Victoria, played by Jenna Coleman. It is coming up here.
wow. That's kind of a Doctor Who mashup there, isn't it?
Yeah.
Now, is this actually going to take place in the Doctor Who universe?
It's not in the Doctor Who universe, but that is how Doctor Who fans will know the Queen.
The Queen!
Yes, the Doctor Who fans will remember Queen Vic from Tooth and Claw from Series 2, where she was possibly bitten by a werewolf and
So
banished.
the idea that was secretly Clara, though, that's too much of an idea to ignore. Even if no one ever intended that in any way, it's still too hilarious to ignore.
They'll try it. The fans will make it work. They'll make it work.
Or it'll be in fan fiction and make my teeth break.
A Clara had to go and exile the Doctor from Great Britain because the Great Intelligence was planning to execute him after the events of
Bill, my hand is going to the part of my computer that can hack military satellites. I am redirecting the lasers to Connecticut now.
So he's gone to the fiction section.
Military satellites would never fire on Connecticut. There's too much money in this state.
Of their own volition, no.
Pretty sure there's a fail-safe on there.
Connecticut has a money shield.
Fail-safes can be bypassed.
Wait, does that mean your force field is made of gold?
It's a golden force field.
Oh my god, it's baking in here!
Anyway, additional cast members are Rufus Sewell from Parade's End, playing Lord Melbourne, Peter Firth of Spooks, who will play the Duke of Cumberland, Catherine Fleming of No Place to Go, who plays the Duchess of Kent, which is Queen Victoria's mother, Adrian Schiller of Suffragette as Penge, the household steward, Nicola McAuliffe of Coronation Street as the Duchess of Cumberland, Daniela Holtz from Phoenix as Victoria's governess, Baroness Lezen. Okay, there's only a few more. Nell Hudson of Outlander, which is kind of a Doctor Who spin-off in and of itself, as the mysterious new member of the household, Miss Scarrett. And that's the only... Okay, that's the last one.
Yep. So a bunch of people we don't know.
And one extra one. Starting all these peoples and then other vitamins and minerals. Next.
That leaves our last bit of spin-off information, and this one we can watch. Karen Gillan, best known by Doctor Who fans as former companion Amy Pond, has written, direct... What did you say?
Save
Amy.
Save Amy.
She has written, directed, and starred in a short horror film named Conventional, which is available to view apparently for free on YouTube, and will also feature in the Fun Size Horror Volume 2 event in Hollywood this Friday.
Okay, I'm going to mark this for watching later.
And it is a
That's fine, Matt. You can tell me how it is.
9-minute short video.
Oh yeah, that's a really short horror video. Yeah, I'll let you know how it goes. I'm a horror fan. I'll have a look. If she's any good at it, that'd be amazing. And keep doing more shorts.
All right. So that's really kind of wraps it up for the news tonight. We have a few minutes here. Anybody have anything interesting go on this week?
You want to talk about Star Wars or Back to the Future?
It's up to you guys. I'm more of a Star Wars fan than anything.
Very quickly.
As most will know, it is Back to the Future 2 Day. Marty's first appearance. It'll still be a few more days until the Doc's first appearance in 2015. There are all kinds of events going on to celebrate. Limited edition Pepsi, Jaws 19 is in production. Australia has apparently announced a hoverboard police squad, but I don't know if that's satire or not.
I do know that there are 2 working hoverboards right now.
None of them publicly released, though.
Publicly released, actually, you can buy them, but they cost a couple $1,000 each.
Question is,
So in other words, when Marty
be
McFly
used?
stole that kid's hoverboard in Back to the Future 2, that kid was pissed.
Oh yeah, had every right to be. Although she got a better hoverboard anyway, so.
That was technically a hover scooter, wasn't it?
Yeah, it had handlebars on it originally, but he pulled them off quickly.
I don't think we have hover scooters. Haven't heard of them anyway.
But they technically exist. Flying cars technically exist, but they are very few and far between.
Wasn't Nike working on some shoes?
Nike is still working on self-lacing shoes, yes. They actually have the plans. They are working on them. They just need to perfect them.
Gotcha.
Well, geez, if we can have hoverboards by 2015, then we have 5 years to get me my frickin' cyberware.
Everyone on Facebook wants us to remember that Total Recall is set 2 years from now.
So Total Recall and Running Man are set the same year. So we have 2 years to
get our asses to Mars.
I think Salamander's supposed to take over the Earth sometime this year as well.
Yeah, actually, no. He's somewhere in the middle. He's somewhere in the 2050s.
Well, also, actually, according to Running Man, we're supposed to have a huge depression this year, which almost arrives in a post-apocalyptic chaos.
That arrived a few years early, man.
Yeah, that was a few years early.
Where are we in the Escape from New York universe?
The Escape from New York, that happened a long time ago.
Shut down by now.
I'm still waiting for the what was the other name of World War III from Star Trek?
The Eugenics Wars.
There we go. Yeah.
Actually, the Eugenics Wars and World War III were 2 separate events.
Yeah, weren't the Eugenics Wars?
I thought the Eugenics Wars were referred to as World War III.
No.
No.
Not according to the original timeline. The original Eugenics Wars were supposed to happen from 1992 to 1996.
I was going to say, yeah.
After which, Khan Nguyen Singh took a cedar ship and escaped into space. Mankind then proceeded to turn on itself and devolve into World War III, somewhere around now. And they didn't crawl out of that until the 2050s, 2060s, when Zefram Cochrane made his famous flight.
As long as World War III wasn't set up by an idiot reality TV show host becoming president and doing things with nuclear weapons.
Are there any Mexicans
that could actually happen.
Are there any Mexicans?
Wait, what was that?
He's making references to Donald Trump.
Oh, yeah.
In happier sci-fi news, past the possible predictions, we've got the new Star Wars Episode 7 trailer. Tickets have gone on sale. I have purchased my tickets for after work opening night. I'll be going to the 2 a.m. showing. My theater never does those, so you know they're expecting a huge turnout. They usually close everything by 1 a.m. at the absolute latest. And they're doing a 2 a.m. showing.
Luke Skywalker's the bad guy.
I'm actually contemplating that too.
I'm hoping not, because I would be really, really pissed. I mean, I would seriously not go to see the other movies.
There are a lot of rumors both about Kylo Ren and about Luke. Actually, I think we see Kylo Ren's face in the latest trailer, and it's not Mark Hamill. But that might not actually be Kylo Ren. It's hard to actually tell from the scene, so I don't want to say for sure.
No, but if they make Luke Skywalker turn to the dark side, I'm done.
I'd actually be more intrigued.
Yes, especially when the heel turn comes, when he turns back to a good guy towards the end of the second movie.
Though, he's already been through that road. That
in the
was
books,
Jedi.
not on the screen.
But it's such a downer to go through all of that and then all of a sudden turn around and fail anyway.
Yeah, but it pretty much negates the entire original trilogy. It would just piss me off to the point I would not give 2 figs about the Star Wars franchise ever again.
Oh yeah, speaking of Star Wars news, early access for Knights of the Fallen Empire and the Old Republic has come out. I have been spending whatever free time that I'm not doing homework, studying, helping out friends, or doing podcast or at work on that. Not sure when I'm going to sleep this week.
Yeah, I've just been playing a lot of WildStar, though. Matt and I today got together and fired up a Minecraft server and played Minecraft for a while. Matt exploded a creeper with his face. It was quite amusing.
That's because I managed to stab them like that twice before, and all of a sudden the third time was the charm. Boom.
Just stabbing with your face is...
No, I run up to them and stab them with an iron sword. For a reason, the lag spike hit, and it was just long enough for the creeper to pull back and actually explode in my face.
The thing is, I kept hearing, like, this entire time, I got it, don't worry, I'll get it. Yeah, you got it, Matt, apparently.
And then his mouth landed on the back of the head. Back of his head.
He didn't die.
I still had 2
Neither
hearts.
of us died that entire thing.
Daffy Duck didn't die when his mouth ended up on the back of his head.
There were some close calls. There were some serious close calls. We both nearly starved to death like 5 times.
The witch.
Yeah, we both wound up trying to simultaneously take on a witch and wound up with half a heart of life left.
But the witch died anyways, so fuck that witch.
I didn't know there were witches in Minecraft.
Oh, yeah.
Zombies.
Witches
Is
have
There's
been part of
zombies,
Minecraft
although
for
I
years
made a
now.
point to refer to them as walkers constantly while Matt and I were playing. Crap, walker!
To which my first reaction was, huh? And then I saw him do it again, it's like, oh, gotcha.
And then skeletons, of course, spiders.
What will happen if modern people that grew up on The Walking Dead ever watch Walker, Texas Ranger? They'll be so confused.
It's a walker.
Well, Chuck Norris does kind of look like one.
Yeah, true.
I wonder
And
if
to
Elton
be
John
honest,
became a zombie
he
if he
kind of
never
acts
played the
like
piano.
one too.
I wonder if Elton John became a zombie if he'd still play the piano. Oh, never mind, he's done that several times by now.
Mind you, the only person that acts more like a zombie is Nicolas Cage.
Unless you get him into a really good role. I'm a vampire! I'm a vampire!
I don't know, everything I've ever seen Nicolas Cage do, and that includes that Ghost Rider movie, that second Ghost Rider movie, Matt.
Again, he was supposed to be angsty for most of it. Nicolas Cage really doesn't do angsty that well.
No, he
Let's
makes
face
him
facts.
sound like High from Raising Arizona. Don't ever have Nicolas Cage do voiceovers, because everybody listening will have Raising Arizona flashbacks. I literally spent that movie, because I think Matt and I went to see it together, thinking of Ghost Rider as High from Raising Arizona back from the grave riding a motorcycle. Seriously.
We're just about 5 minutes to the hour, and it does sound like we're mainly done with sci-fi discussion. We want to introduce the 5-minute challenge.
Yeah, this is the 5-minute challenge.
It's a 5-minute challenge. Who wants to do it? Not it.
I do have a summary prepared. Hopefully everyone is on board for what I discussed before the podcast. Otherwise, it'll be really awkward.
What did you discuss before the podcast? Because I don't think I was part of that.
Go ahead and Matt, get the stopwatch going.
It's ready.
All right, give Bill a countdown then.
Ready, Bill?
Yep.
Start in 3, 2, 1, go.
We open as the Doctor and Clara have just finished helping Obama take all the guns from an invading species. Unfortunately, this somehow left Clara stranded in space with a parasite in her suit. Thanks, Obama. The Doctor materializes the TARDIS around Clara and saves her. And Clara admonishes the Doctor for never explaining the rules that define the lengths he's willing to go to. He explains to her that always in motion the future is, and they can make ripples in it but not tidal waves, just before they're attacked by Vikings. On the way to the Viking village, the Doctor's attention is caught by Arya Stark because he is remembering spoilers from an episode of Game of Thrones that he hasn't seen yet. The Doctor tries to convince the Vikings that he is Odin, but he is interrupted by God from Monty Python. Except this time God has an eye patch and calls himself Odin and talks a little different, and no crowd is yelling, "Get on with it."
Yeah.
Get on with it.
Odin attacks the village with a group of Maya aliens, but no Rainbow Bridge, taking the strongest warriors. Clara uses the Doctor's sunglasses to trick the aliens into taking her as well, unfortunately taking Arya with her. The Maya crush the Viking warriors and extract testosterone and adrenaline to make them better fighters. Clara almost convinces them to run away, and never return, but a grief-stricken Arya tells Odin that he will be destroyed for taking Ned's head. Odin accepts the challenge. Time is racing toward them till the Maya arrive, and they have to heed the Doctor's order if they might survive. He tells them they're unsuited for the rage of war, so pack up, leave home, they're through. How could he make a man out of you? They're a spineless, pale, pathetic lot, and they haven't got a clue, but the Doctor gets help from a girl or two. The Maya attack, and it seems like it'll be a slaughter until the Doctor drops the hammer. And by the hammer, I mean electricity, because these are Vikings. Using electromagnets powered by eels, which aren't actually native to Europe, they are able to steal a Maya helmet. Arya uses this to project her will into the hologram technology that Odin uses, and proves that if you put your mind to it, anything is possible. The Doctor and Clara put footage of the fight to yakety sax, and for once that is not a tongue-in-cheek reference, and humiliate Odin into leaving. Unfortunately, Arya is not a strong enough human battery to power the Matrix on her own, and her heart is stopped. Where's that spoon from last season when you need it? The Doctor sulks on this for a while before he has a flashback, reminding him that he got this face because he is the Doctor that shouts lines for the trailer. It's okay because the companion he was with the first time forgot too. The Doctor gives Arya a Maya implant which will bring her back to life, forever, along with a second one that she can use for a significant other if life gets too lonely. The Doctor and Clara discuss how heavy immortality is, and the episode ends.
Okay.
I have a question.
I should have said, and the episode ends with Arya. Well, we actually don't really see what the sequence is about, so never mind.
Yeah.
But it's her going through time, the slow way.
So, Bill, you did it in 0, 2, 54.
That's a short run.
Mm-hmm. Pretty good.
Mind you, with the whole get on with it thing, I was kind of waiting for you to actually ramble off topic, and you never actually rambled off topic.
It would also have gone better if you started mentioning swallows or something.
Okay. Yeah, the idea for those, the idea was that once I started talking about God from Monty Python, it would when I kind of floundered for a bit, that the crowd would yell, "Get on with it," a la Monty Python.
The problem was the fact that we weren't quite sure where that point was.
Yeah.
Get on with it.
And you're right. I didn't know anything about the habitat of electric eels, but yeah, they're Amazon creatures only, South America.
By the way,
weird.
In honor of today, and because of all the other references I included, I did kind of force two Back to the Future references into that summary. I don't know if they were noticed.
Mm-hmm.
There were plenty of references in that summary.
Yeah.
Other than the get on with it joke that fell flat, the rest of it actually you made it pretty snappy. And well, damn, I'm gonna have to deduct some points from this episode now.
This plot point doesn't make sense.
Thank you for confirming that, by the way, because that fact was not my own research. That was Radio Times that I got that information from, and I didn't have the chance to check it.
Habitat. Electric eels inhabit fresh waters of the Amazon and Orinoco River basins in South America.
Yep.
So...
I know that from watching River Monsters.
I mean, it doesn't... I was wondering, if they weren't Vikings indigenous to Norway, like if they were, from a colony in Greenland or something. But even there, it doesn't make sense.
Mm-hmm.
The Vikings visited many, many places. South America was not one of them.
No.
So having a boathouse raising eels makes no sense.
There's still electric skates. I don't know if they're indigenous.
Doesn't matter. The words electric eels were used directly.
Yes.
Yeah.
I must have missed that part because that.
Well,
He said
he said you have eels and pulled up a barrel of electric things.
Well, no,
Yeah.
he actually says electric eels.
Oh, okay. He had said you have eels, electric eels.
Yeah, he
Okay.
Which he should
says
be.
you didn't tell me you have eels. Fire in the water, electric eels.
That sounds right. Yeah.
I missed that few seconds there on both replays of the episode I watched.
Yeah, I just wasn't sure if
I
he said
just
the
thought
two
it was
words together
magically
or not, but that
electricity.
does sound right.
Yeah. Was he wearing gloves when he picked it up?
No, he just banged the side of the container it was in, and it started sparking.
Sparking, yeah.
Okay.
Electric eels and have fresh waters of the Amazon. Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
I did not manage to fit a Marvel reference into that, other than, I mean, Thor isn't really necessarily a Marvel reference.
Thor's weird in Marvel because he kind of does his own thing while also still having some of the rules from the actual mythology at the same time. It's an odd mix and match.
And also, I don't think electric eels, even a bucket full, would be enough to produce an electric discharge of that magnitude.
I guess if you reverse the polarity.
He only reduced the polarity on the helmet to make it project instead of receive.
No, electric eels can take down horses in the Amazon. They usually get to be about 6 feet.
Yes, but
They
to
will
power
take
an
down horses,
electromagnet. Anyway, we're actually getting into, you know.
We're getting
Well, actually,
into
we do have a few minutes before we can we go into our favorite, least favorite. But to actually power an electromagnet, which is wrapped around 3 medieval anvils,
Yeah, that takes a lot of power.
that takes a crap load of juice.
Yep, they can boost shocks of up to 600 volts.
I'm pretty sure that takes more like 600. Well, not 600,000, but probably closer to 100K. And he's doing this with 1 bucket full of eels.
I think there were like 4 or 5 buckets actually.
Yes, I know, but it was like 1 bucket per trigger on each one. Because he would say, Chuckles now, he'd hit the bucket with like a stick or something, and the bucket would give off a shock, which was attached to a chain, which would go to power whatever he was doing.
So in other words, the fact that they even exist equals movie magic bullshit.
Cartoon physics.
And cartoon physics, yes.
Which is not a new thing for Doctor Who.
Yeah.
Especially considering we referenced the 3rd Doctor in this episode, and when you look at the physics of some of his episodes.
Yes, but performing cartoon
using an
physics...
oxygen tank to propel you through space, anyone?
No, technically speaking, an oxygen tank would propel you through space. Propel you to space to catch up with a moving spaceship, that won't happen. An oxygen tank would make you move very slowly.
Either way, it's all silly and wonky.
Mm-hmm.
Anywho. It is about time, I suppose.
Yep. Okay, so let's open up our listing of likes and dislikes. Matt, you're up. What did you like overall about this episode?
Outside of the story flaw we just found. You know me, I'm an old school guy. I don't mind digital effects, especially when they're done sparingly, when they're done correctly, for that matter. They did it very sparingly. I can only think of maybe a couple of sequences where they did any digital effects. The rest of this was all animatronics and actual on-screen effects, and that's where BBC is doing magic with this show right now. Every practical effect, every actual moving suit is fantastic, and this is again another story that has all of that and more. I was not disappointed by anything when it came to the special effects for this particular story. They used just enough digital effects for like laser blasts and Odin in the sky and teleporting people in that it's stuff you can easily do even as a YouTuber, I should know. However, of course, because they are BBC and they can throw a budget at it, they can make it look a little bit better than even I can. And so they did so. And then they got the practical effects, which apparently, whatever workshop they're working through to make the actual suits and stuff, are fantastic, wonderful people that are doing a lot with what I assume is still a fairly small budget.
All right. How about you, Bill?
I'm going to say I like the fact that I laughed when I was supposed to laugh on this episode. This is one where I don't think any of the comedy fell flat on me, which usually for 12th Doctor and 11th Doctor, there's usually at least one or two scenes where it kind of falls flat, and I don't think that happened here. I think it was pretty well done and caught me everywhere that it meant to for this episode. Do you want me to read Tim's as well, or are we saving that
read
for
Tim's.
Tim that kind of overlaps with mine a little bit. He says his favorite thing about The Girl Who Died was the script. The dialogue was great, the plot developments were original and creative, and the humor was not forced but developed naturally from the situations the characters were placed in.
All right. Aaron?
I liked some of the interactions with a lot of the extras and everything. I think they really kind of they really kind of carried the episode. We met the blacksmith and his child. I was like, why is he stealing the child?
Well, that's the thing too, is that I don't remember any Doctor Who stuff lately that, even though we had some decent extras, that actually tried to actually carry the story with them.
Like, the Doctor is he's not quite a background character here, but he's kind of more of an observer type, trying to coach them, I guess, too.
He's half the time he's the observer, the other half of the time he's the one cooking up the plan.
Yeah. So, and it gives everyone else a chance to shine, which I thought was pretty cool.
In their own quirky ways.
All right. Well, I guess you could say part of what I like most about this was the fact that it managed not to piss me off. And by that, what I mean is that usually a work under Moffat or a work that has Anne Stephen Moffat in it, going into it, I will be going, well, this will either work or it'll be horribly, horribly wrong. And most of the time, under a Moffat work, it will be horribly, horribly wrong.
Well, to be honest, go ahead.
What?
Well, I was going to add in, to be honest, last season, a lot of Anne Moffat episodes, we started grinding our teeth.
Which, that was mainly because Anne Moffat meant Anne Danny Pink.
And rubbish.
Yeah, it was
lies
mostly
from
Danny Pink, but what I get is, what I'm getting at is the fact that Moffat and I's opinion of the Doctor were so disparagingly different that I was really annoyed by his interpretation of things. And this time he seems to be approaching it with a more open mind, looking at people like Russell T., who I was a lot more on the ball with as far as his interpretation of who the Doctor was. And Moffat and I, in this case, are now thinking more the same way of what the Doctor should do and what the Doctor should act like. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah.
Moffat's starting to get his Doctor on the ball this time.
All right, so what didn't you like?
Oh. I wish we could have seen a lot more of the spaceship. we got to see so very little of the alien spaceship in this particular story. And I don't mean just the exterior. Just that one exterior was nice enough, but we never really got to see much of the interior, other than
Yeah, we saw
apparently
a
a
couple
kill
of
room
rooms, that was
and
about
the
it.
chemical room. It was just kind of eh.
All right.
Out of everything that we had a lot of nice time with, I think we had the least amount of time with our actual enemies to understand and explore them. Then again, our main villain was kind of one note to begin with, so meh.
All right, Bill, how about you?
I'm going to go with the extent to which the Doctor was off his game this time. I can excuse the fact that he had a kind of crappy plan and Clara came up with a better one early on. But then there's that whole thing where the Doctor's plan is like, well, I'll half-ass through teaching them how to actually fight because I don't have a better idea. And he doesn't even really seem to be doing the Doctor thing of coming up with a better idea until Clara talks him into it, which kind of irked me.
I don't think it's so much that the Doctor got talked into it. It's just that he was very slowly, and Clara urged him to look a bit harder now. But that might be just my take.
Yeah.
Even like normally you outwardly see him working on a plan. He's like, think, what how can we win this without causing a problem? Whereas here he's like, well, we're gonna fail. I'll teach you how to use a sword. And that might have been internal, but I don't know. I mean, and this Doctor is a bit more internal with things like that, but I still feel that should have shown a little bit more. Not to the point of not to the point of being Winnie the Pooh sitting on a stoop, tapping his head, going think. But just enough where you can tell he's actively working on something.
Stop feeding me voices I can imitate. Oh, bother.
Tim said his least favorite thing about this episode, and I'm sure at least one person is going to have some agreement with this, was that he says that the real Odin never showed up. Also, according to Wikipedia, Brian Blessed was originally going to play Odin but had to drop out. I do believe during filming we covered Brian Blessed having some sort of sickness, didn't we?
He had like a momentary bit of sickness on a live stage thing that he was doing. Wasn't he doing King Lear? Yeah, he was doing King Lear.
So I have no idea if that's related to this or if that happened after filming or what. But
I wonder if maybe he's still doing the stage show.
I do believe at least one person here said that they wish Brian Blessed was playing Odin.
A couple of us said.
I had said that last week because Brian Blessed would have been the most boisterous, perfect Odin ever.
So apparently that is what they were going for.
Yeah, I bet they actually wrote the role with Brian Blessed in mind, and then he had to drop out.
And so they went with the more snidely one that we ended up with.
Yep. And by the way, I entirely disagree with him that the real. I'm actually glad the real Odin never showed up. That is something I'm actually. I was actually worried about them doing. Was having this actually be the Odin, and that would have been kind of quasi-religious. It would have the Doctor has never met any true actual pantheon deities. He's never met the Greek gods. He's never met Odin.
Could have been an Osiris.
He met the Osiris, but technically it was an alien race that actually gave credence to the mythos.
Oh, I thought that. Okay, I mean, it's been a while since I watched the episode. I was under the impression that they had actually worshipped him and considered him to be a god.
It was the legend of the Osirians were supposed to have spawned the Egyptian pantheon.
Oh, okay.
That I can deal with. But you have somebody coming down as the Greek or as the Norse god Odin, and I'm just like, Can't buy it unless it's Marvel.
Actually, the Marvel version of Odin
I
is too
could
nice.
see probably not a Time Lord, but some sort of alien who, has the traits that, they then go on to associate with Odin.
That's kind of the same thing as the Osirans, and if that's done right, I can buy it.
Yeah.
I don't know, though, if I can buy it as being, the actual legendary Odin as written on the tin,
Right. Although watching this episode, I did kind of get the idea of how the Doctor became considered to be Merlin. I could kind of just see him now walking into, a Celtic village. Don't you recognize Merlin? And
Huzzah!
bam.
And uses a yo-yo.
All right.
No, the Seventh Doctor had his spoons. And
Seventh
balls.
Doctor had his spoons. The Second Doctor would charm them with a recorder.
Yep.
And the
The
First
Third Doctor
Doctor would just say, "Don't be ridiculous,"
The Third Doctor would hypnotize them.
or use martial arts.
Yeah.
Well, he hypnotizes things too, once in a
The
while.
Fourth Doctor, I think, did. The Fourth Doctor did have a yo-yo.
Fourth Doctor definitely had a yo-yo, and he'd also treat
Thing
them to
is,
jelly babies.
the Fourth Doctor would do it with a jelly baby.
That'd be
that's
his
what
first
he
go-to,
did.
yes.
And
Stepped
the
into
Fifth Doctor wouldn't try to impersonate a deity. He'd just be all whimsical.
Also, the Fourth Doctor would try to charm them with his with his tin dog.
And the Sixth Doctor also wouldn't try to impersonate a deity because he'd be insulted that he would be trying to step down to a lesser being.
Yeah.
Okay, we've covered that. Aaron, what's your least favorite part of the episode?
Overall,
Yep.
I would say that some of the reactionary shots for some of the extras seemed a little bit off the first time I watched the episode. Second time I didn't pick up on them quite so much. But yeah, the first time it was so... that and some of the editing was kind of choppy enough that it kind of threw off my vibe for the episode, and I stopped paying attention, really. I had to really go back and rewatch the episode. So, yeah, I don't know if it's just, what was going on with it, but... So,
my least favorite bit, and I'm really having to scrape on this because there's individual things I don't like, but not something that I'm really liking overall, would be, and I'm kind of in I'm kind of going to be in conflict with Matt on this. I wasn't fond of the costume, or the generic costume of the Meyer armor. I didn't think it was too cheesy. I just wish there had been more variety rather than having them all look the same.
I can understand a little more personality of them, yeah.
That's true.
I mean, to me-
I was kind of thinking of them during part of it as, at least with the human face, as Doctor Who Mandalorians. But one thing Mandalorians are known for is custom armor.
Yeah, there was no customization here, really, until they took the head offs and you saw the fish things in there.
Right.
Really, I was thinking it was a guy and a bunch of robots.
I mean, if anything, the impression they gave was like a group of Centaurans or Jadoon.
Aaron thought they were Jejun. Yeah.
yeah, I thought they were Jadoon. And then I realized that the helmets were too flat.
Yeah. But no, I mean, at first glance, she thought it was Jadoon, but it's like,
Right.
no.
You could fit
It's
a Jadoon head in there.
The thing, and that is the thing too, is that the armor style looks too much Jadoon or Centauran. Mind you, the first time we saw the Jadoon, way the hell back in Series 3, when we first saw pictures of them in the upcoming season trailer, I thought, wow, they're doing the Centaurans.
Yeah.
Because we didn't see the rhino
Right,
until
because
later.
you didn't see the face until the actual episode.
Yeah, so I was looking at the armor and thinking, wow, they've really kind of revamped the Centaurans. They look kind of cool. And then they took off the head and it was a rhino, and I'm like, the fuck? What do you mean Jadoon? What the fuck's a Jadoon?
See it.
And so now we have the same thing where it's the fact that you have these guys in pretty generic body armor. And yeah, it was indistinguishable from robots, and they really just kind of came off as Goon X, Goon Y. Are you really going to be afraid of Goon X and Goon Y? I mean,
they
these
look
are supposed to
tanky
be
enough.
one of the most
Especially-
feared races in the
yeah,
universe. We never really understood why.
They're one of the most feared warrior races in the universe, but then they're faced with a holographic dragon, and they leave their boss to die.
Yeah.
I wasn't really that impressed by them, and
I hope he got back to his ship and executed people left and right.
because I'm looking at this and going, if this is how they deal with this, how would they deal with Daleks?
Yes.
Daleks would kick these guys' ass.
Remember, other than them like kind of raising back up to strike at the Doctor, since the time where the Daleks have been kind of lying low and everybody thought that they had been erased from space-time, and it wasn't really until they started showing themselves to the Doctor that they became more known. So it's possible they grew in the absence of Daleks. But yeah, once they're faced with a Dalek fleet, they'd be gone. They would not even put up a fight.
Mhm.
That's the thing. If I was the Doctor, it's just like, you will pay for this. It's like, you're welcome to try.
I'm just trying to remember. I'm just trying to imagine these aliens running away from giant pepper pots.
Ogrons, they could put up a fair fight.
These things are Ogrons.
Pretty much.
They're fish Ogrons. They have the personality of Ogrons.
They do have the personality of Ogrons. I'm especially picturing the Ogron that thought the Doctor was a Dalek and was terrified and like ran away pissing his pants. That's
kind of
like
the same
climax
thing
of this
here, isn't
episode.
it?
Huh? Yeah.
That is what these things are.
Wow, my nose.
They're the love child of the Ogrons and those vampire fish women from Series 5.
Oh my.
Okay,
So
are
who
we
was the mother and
actually
who was the
gonna
father?
Are we actually going to see these things turn up again under the heel of the Daleks, or the floaty bit of the Daleks, I guess?
Who
I
knows?
would like to see that. We are the Mire, the most warrior friend. Get down, bitch.
I would
like
not
I
be
said,
shocked if they show up in the series finale.
Because, it's like this won't go unpunished. With me, it's like the Doctor's like, yeah, you're welcome to try. I duel with Daleks and win.
Speaking of which, by the way, your prediction last week that the Doctor was taunting Odin, I'm pretty sure that in that scene you were spot on. If it was the right scene.
I'm pretty good at Capaldi's facial expressions. He was mocking him.
Wow. Is it my allergies? Are my allergies kicking up?
Anyway, so that was Aaron's. Mine. Actually, no, that was mine. So it's
That was
up
yours.
to favorite scenes.
Yep.
I get the feeling
Matt.
I'm going to steal somebody's.
There's
Do
a
I
good
have to
variety of this one.
There are a good variety, but this one in particular gave me a good chuckle, especially after making our opening. So, let's try the real swords now, and then the aftermath.
That was Tim's, although he specifically says he thinks the part off screen was his favorite.
Because the off-screen is just up to your imagination, and they just very quickly describe it.
So you and Tim have the same favorite scene.
Okay, so we've covered Matt and we've covered Tim by association.
I'm
It's
going
a
to say the
fantastic
scene
sequence.
where Clara was talking down to Maya seemed like it was going to work, even though with their personality, there's almost no reason it should have, but she was doing a pretty good job, and it was an impressive scene, and then of course the complete 180 at the end.
Mind you, we're going to discuss that scene again because that's going to go down as one of my least favorite scenes.
Okay. So we'll hear the
Dun, dun.
reasoning on that when we get there.
Touche.
How about you, Aaron?
I like the baby talking scene.
Yes.
Yeah,
Very
That's big.
poetic, babies.
translation, I should say. I thought it was actually very touching.
I didn't know Viking babies could be so poetical.
I know. It's like, so I will sing for you, mother.
It was great that they played it straight.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Unlike, the 11th Doctor, where it was largely played for humor,
Yeah.
and you just have him listen and recite, and that was more touching
I mean,
than anything the 11th
there
Doctor
is
did
the
with
fact
Stormageddon.
that if you see this as the Doctor bullshitting the entire scene just to make a point, it's kind of comedic, depending on how
But
you
yet
see it.
he's not, because that's where he figures out fire in the water.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
That's
yeah,
because he
true.
heard the baby describe it. So that's where he pieced it together from. So he can't be bullshitting the baby. He's playing
At
it
least not
straight.
the whole thing. Yeah.
Mhm.
He might be bullshitting the poetry, but...
Okay, so my favorite scene, it's 3 words, Benny Hill theme. That entire bit where he's facing off with
I
Odin
really
at the
did
end.
not expect to actually hear the music in the episode, and then he hit
Yeah.
play,
And then you hit play again the
I
second
laughed
time.
out loud.
I'm just sitting there and I hear yakety sax, and I'm just like, oh my god, they did it. I figured they were only going to threaten it and we'd see it later on YouTube.
Right.
Yeah.
But they actually showed it. I'm like, oh my god, that's
public
perfect.
domain?
Yakety sax might be.
Yakety Sax is not public domain. I can attest to that.
No, but it might also be owned by the BBC.
Yeah, because wasn't
I
Benny
don't
Hill a
know,
huge
maybe.
BBC show?
Yeah, I think so.
Gotta push the Benny Hill DVDs.
But yeah, I can attest that someone definitely owns the rights. I had to alter a version of Benny Hill from one of my
Gotcha.
Let's Play episodes.
It was originally released by the BBC, was later released by ITV, so...
So technically it's owned
what
by
I'm saying
BBC.
is the Copyright Office lists several different copyright owners under several different submissions. They say Boots Randolph, Tree Publishing Company, CBS, etc. The most recent copyrights were done in the late 80s by Boots Randolph.
Okay, so the BBC...
So the actual composer of the song owns the rights then.
So probably the
probably
BBC paid a licensing fee for it.
They just paid a 1 episode licensing fee, yeah.
Or maybe they called him up and
Hopefully,
like, hey, can we use
hopefully
this
that
Dr.
won't.
Who?
Hopefully that won't screw it up in international distribution. I would hate to have to see them remove that scene from the DVD,
Right.
just because of music issues. That would be because they have that problem with even American productions. Supernatural, the theme had to be replaced. The closing theme had to be replaced because of music
there was
rights
also what was it? Last of the Time Lords. They had to cut a song and shorten it for American international release.
I can't decide. By the Scissor Sisters, for whatever reason, they didn't want it aired internationally. So you hear, I think you hear playing track 3, and then they cut to the end of it whenever it's shown on TV, and I'm just like, no, that was so much better with the scene in.
But,
so I'm really hoping that use of the Benny Hill theme won't bite them in the ass later.
It shouldn't.
But it was a perfect theme. It was a perfect scene, and the whole bit with the Doctor almost smiling like the cat that ate the canary.
Yes.
And just dangling it over his head, going, "Oh, and and it's too bad no one filmed it. Oh, wait, we did."
And we did call out. I didn't spot this while I was watching, but we did call out in the images we were looking at of one of the Doctor hiding behind something holding a camcorder, and I didn't see this when I was watching the episode. I'm going to rewatch it, but there is a shot in there, unless it was deleted, of the Doctor videotaping everything.
At least it was one of the takes.
Yeah.
Of course, the thing is, that same scene he did mention, upload it to the Galactic Hub, and I looked at Aaron and I went, space YouTube.
Yep.
There is a space YouTube, and I guarantee you it has various versions of cats.
It's the same hub where they posted the evacuation order for Earth when they were building the new hyperspace highway.
Oops.
Yep. And I think the
Dolphins have
Doctor has
access
used
to it.
something that's the equivalent of space Skype a couple of times now, too. Yes, the Doctor Who universe is inching closer to DBZ abridged.
Yeah,
So
he has psychic text messaging.
So when the Galaxy looks up cat videos, do they actually look up cats or do they look up something else?
Who knows? It might be comedic videos of anthropomorphic cat creatures from
Knowing
New
the internet,
Earth.
when the Galaxy looks up cat videos, it's just porn from the guys we're seeing next week.
Oh, Bill. Okay, scenes you didn't like before this goes downhill, Matt.
Scene I didn't like. All I can think of is really nitpicking, and it's only recent nitpicking that we discovered in the midst of the podcast. So,
Eels.
yeah. So other than the elephant in the room, I don't really have anything, to be honest. Other than there's something that doesn't belong here. And it's here for plot convenience.
All right.
So, other than that,
Bill?
pass.
I think I'm trying to figure out where specifically to go with this, but I'm thinking, I'm not sure where he places as a specific scene, but the bit that leads up to Clara yelling at the Doctor about not having a plan, because I kind of agree with her in that, I mean, that was basically what I said about the episode in general, was that he did not seem to be working on a plan, and that really seemed antithetical to the Doctor. Tim mentions that he did not have a least favorite scene.
Okay. Did he give a rating? No.
He did not. He gave final thoughts but no rating. I think he thought this was a two-parter.
This is not a two-parter. We are actually doing ratings tonight. So,
I should have asked him for it. I didn't think about it.
Well, the end of the episode did say to be continued.
yes, it did, but it's not a direct story sequel. It's a separate story that has a relationship to this. It's like Key to Time. If we were reviewing these 5 years down the road, I would want to review these back to back, but I would still review them independently. Anyway, Aaron, your least favorite scene.
My least favorite scene is actually when he goes to clutch. The father goes to clutch Ashildir's body. It's kind of an example of that delayed kind of reaction, or maybe just kind of poor or sloppy direction. The Doctor goes, "Well, I'm sorry," and there's kind of a pause, but then he just kind of snatches at her. It just seemed kind of unnatural to me. It felt like there should be it should be kind of like a slow kind of realization that, a little bit more slow of a realization that she's dead. So it just kind of felt unnatural.
Okay. I didn't really feel that way.
Yeah, I didn't really notice that either.
I mean, that did seem like the character who, when he did things, it was sudden and jerky. He didn't really do the slow dawning type of thing as a character. I don't know if that's the actor or if that's just how the director decided it or what. But I get what you mean, but I feel like what he did was kind of more in character.
Okay. So, my least favorite scene, as I mentioned, is the scene where Clara is talking down the Odin figure, is about to succeed, and Isildur opens her mouth and promptly sticks her foot in it. This is a character... I felt like it was a
very Viking thing to do.
It is, and yet it doesn't match her character.
True, and yeah, that is something. I mean, it wasn't big enough for me to mention as a giant flaw of the episode, but it does seem like her character is a little different than that.
Her character
in the heat of the moment, I could kind of forgive it, though.
It didn't feel like it to me, because her character is meek and always afraid to be the one at fault. Always thinks that everything's going to be her fault. And the first time she takes initiative, what does she do? She faults them into a war. This is her fault. And then she mentions it, and everyone's like, you can't take fault for everything. Yes, you freaking can! You freaking did this!
True. I mean, there's also, it's also look at her father. He's the one who was kind of, we have to fight. We are Vikings. Throw all the swords on the floor. So it kind of runs in the family.
She seemed to be more yin to that yang.
Mm.
She seemed to be more of a wallflower. So her abruptly coming out on that to be the, to make that exact mistake seemed to be the wrong person to do it.
I get you.
And that's the reason, because it's the one part that made me actually roll my eyes in this episode. So, and it just...
granted, it wasn't until later in the episode where I kind of felt that. It wasn't until, we get the part where, she's talking about, how out of place she is and with the puppets and everything, that I really was like, that outburst earlier, it really wasn't in her character. And I do think if the outburst had happened later, it might have had a more negative effect on me, just because by that point her character was established, whereas early on we saw parts of it, but people have different facets to their personality.
I had gotten that opinion from her from almost the beginning, so...
Well, you also have to remember that she just saw, like, a huge amount of the people she knew and were close to her just suddenly die into dust.
Yeah.
So I can understand an outburst,
and then listen to the stranger next to her talk about them being mashed into juice.
Yeah.
At the same time, though, Clara's talking them into leaving and letting them go, and she opens her mouth. It just strikes me as being almost cliche. So it just hit me wrong.
Meh. Heat of a moment thing.
Anyway, that's my nitpick. The other one that was my...
If I'm going to say anything about that is why Clara didn't clamp her hand over the girl's mouth.
That too. But Clara seems to have flaws.
Either way, I kind of thought that scene could have gone better, both in Clara's speech and her response. Really, I think it would have been better if there had been three of them and the third person would have been the loudmouth. Because that would have allayed my problems right there.
Yeah, true. On an unrelated note, this story kind of reminds me of a scene where... in an audio short where they're pretending that Charlie Pollard is a time lady, and I feel like Clara's speech here just has the exact same kind of role that Charlie was working on in that, and
it kind of is.
Yeah,
because she's letting them assume that she's basically one of the race that created this,
right,
superior technology, and that if they let her go, they'll let them go.
Which, it's kind of true. If they killed Clara, the Doctor would be blowing up their ship. Fuck the space-time continuum.
Yeah.
Well, part of my main issue is, the Doctor, like I said, these things are nothing compared to Daleks, compared to Cybermen.
Yeah.
I don't even know if they rate compared to the Santarans. These guys versus the Santarans, first of all, it's like, we will go to war. The Santarans,
well, here's the thing.
War!
Clara's speech was working. Clara's speech would not have worked on a Santaran.
No, it would not.
Mm-hmm.
Which means I think these guys are actually have a bigger,
Clara's... The Doctor made a similar speech, not as good of one, but a similar speech to Clara to a Viking, and their response was to break the sunglasses. So I feel like it would not have worked on a Viking.
Yeah, but I'm thinking these guys are more hype and they know it.
Yeah.
But they have the reputation of being badasses. So you had Clara calling their bluff, and then you had the Viking. Then then you had Arya come out and just completely blow it. All right. Shall we go on to final thoughts?
Sure.
So me as usual.
Yes.
Pulling the mic from the stand. Um, Other than the nitpicks we mentioned, the leeches and not the leeches, the eels, and the a little bit of the nitpick of the attempt to tell off the main enemy of the story, and why is someone driving a tractor in front of my house, and trying to spook off these relatively weak-minded enemies to go away. Outside of these two little factors, I found no real major flaws in this particular story. I thought most of it ran pretty smoothly. Some of the things that would have been done poorly in, like, say, a season or two ago ran really well this time. For some reason, I don't know, maybe somebody is telling Moffat to tone it down, which is actually a good thing. Other than that, I quite enjoyed this. Another pretty good, solid story, and technically not an indirect part 2 coming soon.
All right. Bill?
Okay. Well, first I'm going to say I'm more convinced than ever that a Shielder is not going to become a new companion, which is a little bit of a shame because it would be nice to, see a non-modern day companion for the first time since...
In years.
Since Leela? Yeah. So.
Well, you mean a non...
There have been
Leela was an
aliens
alien.
after Leela, but Leela was future. Except she was... Whatever. You get my point.
She was
Not
primitive.
to nitpick on the details. Anyway. But yeah, it's pretty clear, if anything, she's going to be more like a Vastra or a Jack than any other type of... Or something, not a companion. Other than that, I do think it was a pretty good episode. There were bits here and there. It wasn't, oh my god, blow you out of the water. But it was a very enjoyable episode and solid all around.
All right. Want to read Tim's?
Tim says that his final word on this episode is that it should be a textbook example of how to pace your Doctor Who script.
All right. That's all he said?
It is.
All right. Aaron?
I actually I didn't quite like it as much as the previous episodes. During the second watch, I enjoyed it a bit more. So yeah, it does have better pacing than the previous episodes. It's not too talky. There's a bit more action in it. It's its own plot, so it's not hinging on a part 2. So I'll probably just it's a good episode. I liked it.
All right. So, I'm of two minds about this episode. I actually liked it. It was an enjoyable watch. But at the same time, when I look at, Doctor Who 5-6 years down the road, I don't think I'll be thinking of this episode. I don't think it has the merit to actually stand out on its own like other episodes that instantly spring to mind. I can't think of one thing on this episode that is spectacular. Yet at the same time, I can't think of anything in this episode other than the plot hole that we've discovered as being inherently flawed. So it's kind of hard for me to actually place how I feel about it. Would I watch it? Yes. Would I watch it repeatedly? Probably not. Only time will actually tell.
Although in that sense, it does kind of have the benefit of a two-parter, because if this is the backstory of the character we're seeing next week, so if that turns out to be an amazing episode, it might cause grouping in the sense that this would be one more worth rewatching.
Yeah.
At least for a founding of the character, yeah.
Just like I'm not thinking of any examples off the top of my head, but I know if I were to look at a list of episodes, there are episodes in the 10th Doctor era that I probably wouldn't watch if not for what immediately follows them. And as a result, I watch them more often than I would otherwise. I just can't think of any off the top of my head.
All right. Let's go ahead and move on to ratings then. I have X'd out Tim, as he forgot to give us a rating.
We'll
He'll
give
have
his
to give
numbers
us
later.
one retroactively next week.
Yep. Yeah, it's by no means 100% perfect, but I say this is a reasonably pretty good episode. Whether or not it's going to be forgettable will depend upon the passage of time. As it stands right now, I give this at least a solid 4.
4 flat from the mat.
I agree with the 4.
You're seconding the 4?
Yep.
All right, 4 flat from the Bill, making it actually, in Bill's opinion, better than last week's.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Aaron.
I'm probably going to go with a 4.0 again.
4 flat from the Aaron.
Of course, that's after 2 4.5s, so not saying it's better than last week's.
Mm-hmm. I'm actually going to be a downer and give it a 3.5 because I didn't think it was as good as last week's.
Ooh.
So it gives us a 4.6, a 4.1, and a 3.88 so far this season. Although I do believe that as soon as we have a conversation with Tim, this is probably going to pop up.
Because Tim's probably going to give it a 5 by the sound of things.
Practically by the sound of it.
Or a 4.5.
So coming out with
a 4.5, by the way, would put it at exactly a 4.0 average.
Yep.
So coming out with a 3.9 at this point. Sorting my data. Column C. And column D. Puts this at about 54 on our rankings. Just below The Chase and just above Ghostlight.
Oh.
And also on par with The Next Doctor and our own personal ratings for Blink.
Definitely not a bad episode to be sharing time with.
That is out of 123 episodes currently reviewed by us.
So it's just about the middle mark.
Just above middle.
Just ever so slightly.
Middle is 160, and that's high 50s, so... Or low 50s, I should say. It's about 9-8 places above middle.
So this is almost our average, folks.
Which is not good, because our average should be about 3.0. We're actually about a full point above that.
Yeah.
That's
as we've mentioned, we've largely reviewed events and episodes that were known to be good.
Yes.
So that is skewed a bit as a result of that. We do have plans to tackle things such as Trial of a Time Lord and things of that nature that should...
Which should shift that dynamic
hugely.
Which should be on the low end. It should add to the low end of give us a proper bell curve.
Yeah.
At the moment, yeah, there is a bit of skew, but we are fans after all.
Our average for the 12th Doctor is 3.68. Our average, at least from the 5 current members of the cast for the whole show, is 3.57.
Alrighty, so I suppose it's time for the ending bit.
Yep. If you enjoy listening to or watching our podcast, please like the videos, subscribe on YouTube, Twitch, and Mixcloud. You can always follow and subscribe subscribe, whatever on YouTube and on Facebook and Twitter. And if you want to support us, you can always go on over to patreon.com/Unearthly Podcast. Of course, I closed the news. But don't forget to join us next week for The Woman Who Lived. Written
As
by,
we find out the fate of...
I'm believing Catherine Trigano, but yes, Catherine Trigano.
Find out the fate of Arya Stark.
If she is not going to continue on after this.
And apparently starring Aslan.
Anthropomorphic Aslan, apparently, who apparently also
Yeah, I would
his
actually
mouth.
say starring Lionel from the Thundercats.
Do, 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 do. Or maybe his great-great-great-great-great-grandfather? Because apparently they know of First Earth, and they were living on Second Earth, and then they go to Third Earth. Just saying.
Anyway, join us next week before Matt geeks out anymore.
Can we nerd? Good night.
You're getting your geek all over the place.
My geek is showing, I'm sorry.